Welcome, everyone. This is Kathy Mason today on Conscious Business Zone with my dear, dear friend. I'm calling her Angie LaRue, but it's Angelia on Facebook. Hi, Ange. How you doing?
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Yes. Well, we have a snowy morning this morning in Boulder, Colorado, but we made it, and we're real excited to share this amazing frequency that Angie brings through. Let me explain real quick a little bit about Angie. She's a certified master Crystologist, which we'll ask her what that means later. She's an energy practitioner, a reverend, a teacher, a Reiki master, a mystic, and a healing innovator. And as you get to hear more and more about Angie, you will be so delighted as using her as a conscious resource for you to go to the next level, to be the love that you are. So, Angie, first of all, a lot of this stuff that you do came through your awakening. Do you want to tell us? Now, you don't have to give us the 40 days and 40 nights version, which I've heard. But your awakening, how long ago was that?
So it was such a pivotal moment in my life. I remember the exact date and hour, and it was December 9th, 2011 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was actually on a business call when it happened. So
Wow.
instant chaos.
Wow. So all of a sudden this paradigm started shifting and
Yeah, I'd gone into my kitchen to get a glass of water, and I could suddenly see through the walls and through the cabinets and through everything else. I was seeing multidimensionally. I tried to ignore it and pretend like it was some problem with my eye. And then when I turned around to go back in the living room with the phone in one hand and the water in the other, like a portal, a gray mist formed in the middle of my kitchen, and I fell into it. And I'm screaming, I'm falling, I'm falling. And of course, the person I was on the phone with was a little bit freaked out. So, and in that space, there was only me. There was no top, no bottom, no sides. And I was just a glowing light that was just kind of floating, falling, something. And I don't even know how long that lasted. And then I kind of came out of it. And I found myself, I guess, back in my body, which was sliding down the kitchen cabinets on a crash course with the floor, and water was sloshing out of the whatever. And I had a very difficult situation to try to explain to my prospective person. It was an art commission for a guy.
Oh my goodness. Back then you were an artist, and your art is beautiful. So the art that you created, that is an awakening piece, that the beautiful piece that's behind you, is that what you saw at that time? Because that's very similar to what I saw in my white light experience. The colors are very similar to what I saw, only mine was waves and yours are more rectangular, square. But when did you see that?
That didn't come until later, some months later. I had actually painted that before. After the awakening, several months when my husband and I at the time were trying to put everything back together, we realized I had actually been painting my awakening for several years. So yeah, I had moved into abstract contemporary artwork, and it was apparently just a really great place for my soul to express, what was getting ready to happen. So,
Well, what's amazing is the access that you have from going through this portal, and how pure love, you express pure love in everything you do. It's just a delight to be around you and to experience your work. So as far as the awakening, not everyone has to have that drastic of one, or at least that's my belief. Again, I had a white light experience, but I don't have the skills that you have. You have access to the divine at a much higher level than I do. I have some, but you've got a lot. So as far as do you feel like you're still awakening, or do you feel like it doesn't stop?
No, no. I just keep saying yes, and more stuff keeps coming in and coming in, and that has to do with the original relationship that only it just went into complete surrender.
Yeah.
And when complete surrender happened, um, what appears to be the gifts of many former lives were all remembered. And that's why I think I have so many gifts, is it was a remembering. And that went on for quite a while. uh, the real chaotic part of awakening, when all the different gifts are pouring in and you're trying to sort through all this, and the meanwhile all the constructs that you had about what life was are also shedding off and falling away, and then you're going through all this just cleaning. It's a huge cleaning out, while new things are coming in. That period lasted almost 5 years for me, which is extraordinarily long. Most people do not experience that. So it was, I call it the cosmic 2x4 awakening. My human brain got humbled, uh, just almost beyond belief. I remember like shaking my fist at God, going, "You can't do this to people. We can't survive it. Our psyches will break apart. You can't do this." No. But I did. We actually did survive it, even though ego thought for sure it was dying a slow
Right.
torturous
And the
death.
whole time it is all ego, isn't it? It's all the
Yeah.
ego path that wants to protect you. And the ego
Sure.
isn't bad. It wants to protect you, but the access to your former gifts as a healer in other lives and your other connections has been remarkable. This remembering is really tremendous. Tremendous. So, you do teach this as well, right? For other people that are going through these changes, correct?
Yeah, I teach up to I teach what I have embodied, and there's things I don't have embodied yet. So
You're still here, so the human experience. Well, we're lucky you're still here because the way that you do healing, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But your access to the divine is remarkable. And so the next question I have is, could you explain what a Crystologist is? Because
Mhm,
I've never heard that word before. I love crystals.
mhm,
But what
right.
is a Crystologist?
So a crystologist is basically using crystals for their metaphysical potential. They're able to move energy. They produce two types of energy, piezo and piezo, I think is what they are, piezo and piezo. And it's being able to use those in circuits, right? Much like a circuit board. And this is the power, along with some channeled energy, in a way to restructure us. And that's our mental body, our auric body, um, and our emotional landscape. Quartz crystal is carbon, silicon, um, and we're carbon. Crystal, the way it forms, is there's a certain perfection in it, and it moves energy in a gentle spiral through it. And so what that does for us is, when our blueprints kind of get corrupted through trauma, drama, just being a human is not easy. It's actually really difficult being a human. We all know that, right? They perceive reality in a different way, and they're able to restructure the energy in our field back to essentially what it was before we got damaged by the various things that have happened in our lives. So these are allies. They're really great allies. And we can get even a small sense of what that's like just by going and wiggling our feet into the dirt. There's this grounding that happens, right? Just that quickly. And that's just even with dirt. And these are kind of the masters in the crystal kingdom. This is where, Gaia, Mother Earth, has formed a huge amount of information. And yeah, so they're an ally and a tool to help us return to the perfection, which is our divine inheritance.
Right. Well, and they say that as this is one of the first times in humanity's history that we're actually going to ascend embodied. And so the crystals, and we're becoming more crystalline. So the alignment and the use of crystals must be pretty important for this time for humans, for health, actually.
There's some really interesting work that's been done by top blood people who look at blood under dark field microscopes, and they work for, they're some of the top ones in America, and they have private labs in their homes. And they've been doing some research around awakened people and studying their blood under dark field microscopes. And of course, the dark field microscope doesn't heat up the blood sample, so you're looking at a living blood sample and you're getting to see everything inside of it move. And what they're finding is that awakened people, people in the ascension process, their blood is having crystalline structures inside of it. So, yeah, some interesting stuff around this idea of ascension in body. There are literally physical changes inside the body.
That's fantastic. So, but a Crystologist, that's somebody that knows how to work with crystals and uses them as a tool. But you also seem to have a relationship like they're your pet. Not, I don't want to say that. It's like they're not pets, but
They're allies.
Allies.
They're
Yeah.
allies. Yeah. And that comes from something I didn't know pre-awakening, which is that we are eternal spirits having a human experience, and we've had many human experiences.
Right.
And back in the Lemurian period and then forward into the Atlantean period, there was multiple lives where I worked with crystals as a healer, as one who helped evolve consciousness, and one who used crystals to connect us to the divine and divine understanding and to oneness. Crystals live in oneness. Even when a crystal is broken off from its main collective, it telepathically stays in connection with the rest of the cluster, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have that potential as well, to be connected to everything, the earth, the trees, the solar system, all that exist within oneness.
Yes. Wow. And so there's a lot to learn and a lot to use, but the electrical system that the human has right now, that's being bombarded with all these other disparate energies that are coming through. I find the crystal array and your bed, which we'll talk about in a second, I find that a way to recalibrate and come back to center easily.
And with more energy in our field, with our field kind of pumped out and kind of more energy in the field, we're also less resistant to the damage that can be caused by EMFs. We have something there to shield us more. Right. And the crystals do that. They'll really plump our energy feels full. And it's a kind of a form of energetic shielding.
Yes, yes. So, okay, so the other thing that makes you very, very unique, besides that you're wonderful and that you have all these incredible skills, magical skills, I think, mystical skills, is that you have this orgone generator crystal bio bed. And do you want to show it, or do you want to talk about it first and then maybe show it?
Let's talk a little bit about it.
Okay. First. Okay, great. Okay, so anyway, Jane Arian's here and Zach Bergen's here. There's 5 or 6, actually 7 people here. Hopefully, if you guys want to ask questions, please do, and we will be glad to interact and share that. But how were you inspired to build the bed? Because it's the one of a kind. It's an orgone generator. So can you explain what that even is?
Okay, so Dr. Wilhelm Reich, back in the 40s, did some very pivotal work through healing. And his modality, because he was a scientist of healing, approached things multiple prongs. He originally had worked with Freud. Dr. Sigmund Freud. He was a compatriot. They had an office together. They worked together. But he started feeling that there was more needed to correct the disease in the human body than just the psychological approach. And so he started branching off and looking into other things. And what he discovered is by layering certain materials, in particularly single long chain organic materials with metals back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, that it created a filtration system of energy. So only these very pure cosmic energies were coming through these boxes that he made. And he would have people sit inside the boxes, and a lot of cures happened. And he was curing cancer, actually, which is probably what got him killed in the end. The FDA went after him. Yeah. Now, shortly after that time period, we started the first atomic testing, and that made these boxes unstable because the radiations were getting into the boxes as well. Oh. And so a lot of that work got put on hold. Now, he had foreseen what was going to be happening to him, and he put all of his research, his books, he was a copious writer, he wrote many, many books, into, let's see if I can remember this, I think it was the Harvard Library under lock and key for 50 years. And that information became available to the general public in, get this, 2012.
Of course.
Yeah. And so there was kind of a mad rush by some people, of course, to get there and get a hold of that information. And out of that, the Crofts, and she was also mineralologist and a crystologist, something like me. And she had the vision to put a quartz crystal into that matrix of single long chain organic with metals to cleanse and clean up the energy and restabilize it. That's what crystals really do, is they stabilize energy. They exist in all of our electronics because our energy itself is pulsy and wide spectrum and everything else. And the crystal reorganizes it and sends it out in a nice controlled pattern. And that's why we can have these miniature circuit boards that don't blow up from dirty energy.
Right. Wonderful.
Okay. So I started getting downloads from Spirit all about this, to read it. Traveled across the U.S. to meet a friend in person, and he actually had all of Dr. Wilhelm Reich's books. He had bought them 15 years before and told him, keep them, you're going to need these. So I show up at his house with a whole bunch of crystals and this, I'm supposed to build an orgone generator. I don't even know what this is. And he's like, oh, wait, I've got these books. And he comes out with this big stack of books. And so we spent months going through all of his work, and then we were finally ready to begin to build the first ones. And 4 or 5 years evolution after that comes the knowledge to build the orgone generator crystal biobed. So now we're pulling the orgone generator information together with the metaphysical properties in the mineral kingdom. So this is a fusion of both. It's a crystal biobed, which some of you have probably heard of, the amethyst crystal biobeds.
Right.
And this puts an orgone generator in it as well.
Okay. Well, I'm putting the link right now in the video so that you can see, and I'll put it also in the comments. And Elsie's Ritzenheim's here and saying loving the dialogue, and Jane's Arian saying loving this perspective. So this is great. So Angie, so you were inspired by Wilhelm Reich and all of his work, but
Spirit and yeah, inspired by Spirit, and Wilhelm Reich was.
That's where I wanted to go, was that it was more than his work that you were bringing through, probably past knowing and higher dimensional data.
Right. He was the tool that opened my mind into this time and space, the 21st century, or this particular epoch. And interestingly enough, I'm in a priestess group, and we will sometimes, channel beings that we need to talk to that have to do with our own work out into the world or our own personal evolution. And we've brought in Wilhelm Reich And Wilhelm Reich is actually, he talks to me about what I'm doing and where I can improve it and yada,
Oh,
yada, yada.
wow.
I know. Yeah. I mean, the great masters are still there. Even before Wilhelm Reich, Nikola Tesla was coming in. A lot of what I learned about frequency and energy and how this moves and how to combine this and orchestrate it actually came from Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
So, these great beings are still with us in the ethers and the Akashic. And, it's that old saying, ask and ye shall receive.
Right,
So
right.
I stand on the shoulders of giants, and I am eternally grateful for them.
And what happens is that this capacity to heal is so enhanced by using your energy through that bed, whether it's virtual or it's recorded or if it's in person. It's quite amazing. So I would like to share, Jane saying, I really appreciate the
Amalgamation.
Of metaphysical and scientific information. Yes, that's that. What you're finding here is basically we're unconscious business zone, and the whole idea is to give people conscious choices so that they can live and fulfill their soul mission here on Earth. All of us stood in line to get these bodies, 7 billion of us, to be here right now to experience this ascension and choose. And this is high frequency work that supports you if you have a big job to do. And you kind of know it. You kind of are inspired and you hear Angie's voice and you go, I think that's for me. So
I think one of the most surprising things that I've kind of learned through this whole process is that the human mind is an amazing servant and a horrible master. And previously I had thought it was the master. And now that it's a servant, part of a team, which includes higher self and the intelligence of the body itself. We're actually getting some traction now. We're accomplishing something in the world. We're no longer a consumer who's just using up resources and oxygen. We're actually able to put something back, and that something is love. It's love and compassion, and that's able to manifest in such a huge number of ways.
Yeah, so that's what I experience with everyone I work with, is that they're selling their I mean, they may be having a product or a service, but they really are sharing their love and light. And then hopefully that inspires other people to be courageous enough to share their piece of it, because there's no junk here. Everyone's a piece of the whole. We're all one. So Laura Barton just asked, hi, Laura. So how do we reach Angie for more info on the organic bed she put? I'm putting this information here, and Laura will send you more when we finish this interview so that you can see. Laura, you'll love it. This is your territory, Laura. Laura's a weekend.
Should I show the bed now?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so I'm not going to be on the mic, so I'll let you talk, and I'll just play Vanna White, okay?
Vanna White, okay. So this bed is capable of expanding. Yes, here we go. Here, she's going to lift it. And this is filled with crystals, and we'll let Angie explain all it's calcite, and there's, I think, let's see, what all is it? It's let her explain all the crystals. Let me see if I can find it here. It's also on that website. It's got 48 quartz crystals and 10 apophyllite crystals, and strategically placed. I do have some apophyllite. You think I could say it? Herkimer diamonds. But it's calcite is what I remember. There's all different colors of calcite in it.
So the central core, which is wrapped in a marine gate wire, everything's done on sacred geometry numbers, so it's like 144 strands. It goes into the orgone generator part of the bed, which is this thick poofy stuff, and there's that much below. This is all metal wools. We had this imported from all over the world, and there's that much as as well below. So it's like a burrito, and the stones are in between. Those 144 wires go into the different layers of the metal, which act as antennas pulling in information. So think of this as a giant array. It's a big, huge satellite dish feeding information into that central crystalline core. That core with the raw information is then surrounded by further information in the form of calcites. And so the calcites work a lot on detoxing, and different calcites have to do with different systems in our body: adrenal, endocrine, blood, large muscle groups, et cetera, et cetera. So all the different calcites, I think there's 6 different calcites in there, are really working on the body physical, and the central crystalline core is just blasting out a huge amount of energy. And so it shortens the amount of time that it takes to evolve the consciousness, because the body is getting corrected as the mental emotional body is getting restructured into something which is much more easeful and graceful to deal with. And the whole field is getting cleaned. So just a lot of those repetitive thoughts, that keep looping back into our head are getting removed. So now we have option to let those go, or start them up again if we want. But it opens up a lot of option. And then what usually happens then on top of that is I build crystal arrays, which are actual circuits. And then they use the fuel from the Oregon generator crystal biobed. So think of this as a fuel depot. This is a massive amount of fuel, 24 hours a day. People can feel it even before they get into my office. And some people who know the frequency really well, who are coming to this building for other events, will come into the building and they'll go, "Oh, I feel Angie here." Wow, why do I feel Angie here, right? And the closer they get to my office, they're like, "Angie's here. I feel that's Angie's frequency." Right.
Yeah.
And they'll start asking people, and then they'll find the plaque on my door or something. So it's very discernible, it's
Right.
very recognizable. And overall, that frequency is set to the frequency of selenite, which is 244.5 megahertz. To give a comparison, a healthy human body operates between, 68 and 72 hertz. This is in the megahertz range, 244.5. And so you can see where that's going to advance healing psychologically, physically, and help with the advancement of consciousness. And of course, the more our bodies get healed, our minds get healed, our emotions get healed, the faster consciousness itself evolves. It's not being dragged down anymore. So
Yes. Yes, it's so perfect. And so you can go and lie on the bed. You can do other services with Angie. But part of the reason why we're doing this interview today is Angie is launching some recordings that we made of crystal arrays on that wonderful bed tomorrow on Jazz Up Your Life with Judy. And here's the link for that. And I'll put that also in the comments so that you can see. And Angie, the opportunity for people to have multiple virtual experiences all over the world is now available. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, these are actually really exciting. I have not got to do too many of the arrays myself because I can't get the crystals placed all over myself. But when Kathy and I were doing the filming for the transmission, she was able to complete the circuits for me. So I actually got to, experience some of these I'd never experienced before. And because we recorded them digitally whenever they're playing, which I'm basically leading somebody on a guided meditation. And that's just all it sounds like is a guided meditation, but all this energy is being transmitted to you.
It's so subtle and so strong. And
So,
just listening and, oh, I'll just drift off. Yes, this is pleasant. And then all of a sudden, everything around you, you start thinking differently. Things start happening. I mean, it's so powerfully strong. Even people that don't usually express that they understand about energy or commenting about how strong, and they don't quite know how to articulate it.
Yeah, it is really hard to articulate. Kathy and I were high for weeks
Oh
after
yeah.
doing all of this filming. Normally, a crystal array should be done about 9 days apart because it takes that much time to just really kind of integrate all the energies, and it's a lot of energy. And we actually did 12 arrays in 9 days. we
So
we were just higher than a kite,
it was
and
so wonderful. I mean, I don't think I was in my body the whole time, but
yeah. I was able to actually lock in something I had been working on for a while, which was conscious bilocation. I've been unconsciously bilocating for a lot of time. For about 5 years. There's almost hundreds of reports now of people seeing me in various places, and I'd never been able to really do that consciously. And after these arrays, yeah, it just like it clicked in. It was so easy, and I can do it. And in
yeah,
fact, I just went and visited my boyfriend Rob night before last down in Colorado Springs, so that was lovely.
and we can leave that to everyone's imagination.
Yeah.
Or this is this is
The family show.
yeah, well, Facebook, right?
Right. So it really, the cleaner and the clearer we get, the quicker we evolve. And then this is just fuel. It's such great fuel for the evolution, for healing, for whatever we need. So yeah, it's been very exciting. And there's 12 of them. And now I have these available and I can do them on myself as
Yeah.
well,
And reinforce what we did, because we were knocked off our senses. They are so strong, they're so subtle. The reason I love these recordings so much, and I'm listening to the self-love array every day, the reason I love them is so many of the healers that I've worked with, I've been doing this for 19 years, and so many of the people, it's been not painful, but you know that you're going through stuff to change. These you're transmuting somehow, and so it just feels like pure love. You don't feel like you don't have anger. You try to look at everything objectively. It's very different healing. It's pure love. It's reminding you that that's what you are, and helping you release anything that isn't that, right? Is that a good way to explain? That's how I'm experiencing
there's a lot of effortlessness and grace to the crystals, which is, I think, one reason I like working with them so well over other healing modalities. It's just such a good fit, and I don't like to hurt. The awakening itself was such a painful process. It's nice to work in a modality that's gentle and loving. It's supportive. It's strong, though. It's like the hug of a grandmother. If grandma wants to hug you, she's not going to let you get away.
Stupid pinch on
Right. Yeah. But it's sheer love, right? So it's firm, but it's so loving. And yeah.
So Jane says, I'm assuming that bilocation is pretty much the same as astral projection. No?
In the loosest of manners, is using a different body than the astral body, though. And some people report they actually see me. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
All we know is that these, even for the masters that have already awakened, these recordings really will shift you to another higher level. So there's always a way to go higher and go more into that fifth dimensional thinking, where you choose love and support of others, and a way of working in community, and as a viable, respectful human. That's what namaste really means. But this is a portal to that, in my experience.
Yeah, mine as well.
Yes. And Jane says, interesting. So that's great. So Angie, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about, those were my main questions that I had for you. I mean, I could keep going for days with you because I just adore what you're doing and love the frequency work and all of the products and services you have. But I really wanted to feature these audios because I think those are great steps for everyone. Well, they're tools to have in your toolkit.
Right. Right. And so effortless, you know, you just lay down and listen to them. And my voice, especially as I drop into trance and state, because I'm also projecting energy. I'm running energy through me, and I'm projecting it. My voice gets very hypnotic, so
Yeah.
it's very restful. You know, you're probably not going to be able to remain conscious the whole time. Yeah. Most of them are only about 20 minutes, so it's a, you know, a very gentle, beautiful thing that you can do for yourself. Yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, I did one last night. I did Charminese, just
Oh,
so that I could be very comfortable today doing this interview. So,
wonderful. Well, I did.
is it working?
Yes, of course. Look, I always find you that way because to me, this is when you find a sister from another mother, and you get to figure out how each other's experience helps feed the whole. That's where I am with all of it. But I do want to let people know that the opportunity to experience a lot of Angie's work for very little amount of money. I'm sorry to say it that way, but it's a huge value. Is go
It's You
tomorrow.
get 12 of them. You get 12 crystal rays for the price of one.
Right, right, right,
Yeah,
right.
it's
So,
a $2,000 value.
for
Yeah.
over 2,000, yes. And then the other thing that you're going to get is, and I'll show mine, is is it okay if I show this? Okay, so this is one of the things, a PDF that's in the program that's part of self-love, and that's a silly picture of me in the middle. And this is another part of this show that Angie's doing with Judy, that you get to print this out and put.
And it emits energy. Kathy, can you hold it up to the screen, up to the camera again? And any of you who can read energy, go ahead and, you know, run your hand across the screen, right? And see, I feel it right there. And you can just tell the difference, right, of where the array is versus where it's not.
Well, I had this here in my office, and I got the opportunity to be the videographer and photographer for a big event in Clearwater, Florida. And I just left it here over over there, and I could tap into it. I could feel that it was sending me self-love, which is something that I obviously must need a lot. And but it was palpable. So
We all do.
yeah,
Down here in our rags of light, we
yeah.
all need more love.
Well, and this seems like a simple tool. It seems like, oh, you could do this. The benefit is that this picture was taken, and this design of crystals was done on the bed.
Mhm.
So
It's an IV drip.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
an IV drip of energy that feeds into you 24
Yeah.
hours a day.
And that's part of the package that is being sold tomorrow for a minimal cost, so that you can get started on your upgrade to the next best thing in your life, because this is what will attract it. And it's a conscious choice. Again, if you want to show up as love and show up with contribution to really share, be courageous enough to really share who you are, these tools are so important to do that. I don't know how you can do it without it. Actually, the global consciousness does not really allow for you to be visible and be powerful, but these tools do. Would you agree?
Oh yes, I'm kind of, my human is lazy, right? So I don't want to spend 10,000 hours in meditation. There's too much life to be lived, and I now love life. I now love this part, this human costume. I'm having a really great time doing it. So I don't want to work at it, right? I want the ways which are in accord with me, which are smooth and easy and don't engage the human brain so much. There's one thing I've learned, that the gatekeeper between higher states of consciousness and the illusion of being only human is the human mind. So I really need things that bypass my human mind. I can't access the rest of what I am using modalities that engage my brain to get there. It just doesn't work, actually. So it's one reason I'm so thankful to Spirit for forcing me to learn about crystals. And that's a whole nother story. I was dragged kicking and screaming. Almost the last thing I wanted to be was a crystal woo-woo person.
Well, you were an artist already, so you were already very aware of emotion and expressing your emotion in a tactile, physical way. She has made paintings and beautiful. What else do we have? Metal art. You have those weaving. Sort of behind you, you can see.
Yeah, there's one on the wall there called Present Grace.
It's sort of like your hair. It's beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful.
It was actually inspired by waterfalls in South Korea. The women's beautiful long hair there. The name of it's Present Grace. And there's some other ones in the reception area, beautiful pieces as well.
So Angie is available if you want to meet her and experience the bed. If you're a local person, you can experience the bed, or you can have these recordings that give you the gift of 12 different arrays right away. And then, of course, Angie's a teacher, so you can be mentored by her to help you see the other aspects of yourself and reconnect to them, so your divinity can be expressed here. And I just love everything you do and appreciate you so much, Ange. And thank you so much for coming to Conscious Business Zone. I hope as many people as possible can share this with their friends, so more people will take have the experiences that I've had that I am so grateful for. Yeah.
My pleasure. My pleasure, my joy, and it's such a delight to share this energetic space today with all of you.
Yeah.
I feel so much, I feel love and connection and appreciation for all of you.
Yes.
Wherever your journey is, whatever you're doing. I'm so glad you're here on the planet with me right now.
Yes. And I can't wait to see what we co-create once more people are working from that operating system. It's a time to change the hard drive a little. So
2.0 version. Yay.
Anyway, well, thank you, Angie. We're gonna lock off, and I will be sharing this all over the place. And I want to again ask that anyone, if you found value with this, if you would please share with this. And I just think the resources that you have through Angie and her crystal arrays and her recording and her bio bed is remarkable. You have no idea all the other things that she can do. We just focused on one little bit today. So anyway, thank you, Ange. And hate to sign off. I would rather stay on with you, but
I know.
I have other work to do. Good to you. So,
have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.